In the 19th century, Cambridge Borough, at the north-central point of Crawford County, was a staging stand on the Waterford to Susquehanna Turnpike and a market center of agricultural economy. Although bypassed by the Meadville-Edinburgh-Erie Plank Road, it flourished with the arrival of the Atlantic and Great Western Railroad in the 1860s. In the 1880s, petroleum exploration along French Creek led to the discovery of artesian mineral springs and the development of a mineral spa industry that included over 50 spa hotels, sanatoria, and boarding houses, as well as an amusement park. The impact on the economy and demands in a labor pool were immediate. Between 1890 and 1900, the population in the borough now called Cambridge Springs rose from 900 to 1,500. To keep up with the increased demand for goods and services, the resources of the surrounding area needed to be tapped. The roads, however, were nearly impassable, so the market for electric railway service opened. Part of this service was the building of a trolley station in 1910 at Venango and Railroad Avenues in Cambridge Springs. Among the many visitors to the station was President William Howard Taft, who visited the mineral springs before taking a trolley to Edinburgh in October of 1912. Today, except for a few modifications, the original structure remains intact and is being renovated with the help of the Northwestern Pennsylvania Railroad and Tooling Heritage Society and students from the Crawford County Career and Technical Center. Plans are for the building to be used as a public meeting place and center for speaker presentations and historical exhibits.
So, trolley station was built in 1910 and ran until 1929, 1928. It became a gas station. Ran that way until 1964, and it's been in the hands of the Townley family up until 2008 when Melvin Townley left it to the people of Crawford County. And we are the overseer of it at this point. It was left to the Crawford County Historical Society, and they decided they didn't want to run it, so they eventually turned it over to us, which is the Northwestern Pennsylvania Railroad, Tooling and Railroad and Heritage Society. So we've been working at it off and on a little bit for since 2009. We had about a 2-year lapse and have recently taken control of it. Essentially, as you can see, the station itself is extremely well built. It has not settled a quarter of an inch since the day it was built. The foundation's strong. There's a new roof on it. There's no cracks in it. Structurally, it's the sounds the day it was built. One of the nice things about it, when the railroad people, or when the service station people had it from 1928 to 1964, they used it, but they did not make any changes of any consequence inside. They didn't put any partitions in, anything like that. The old, everything's the way it was when it was during the trolley days. Now on the north side, which is the far side from us, we're on the south side right now, the southwest side. North side, they did put 2 garage doors in to accommodate their washing of automobiles in a hydraulic lift. And they took out what was the freight office and the dispatch office. The freight office was on this side. They'd bring freight down. You can tell there's a wider door here. This door is like 48 inches wide. And they'd bring the freight in and out of there, and we'd come up to which is a couple hundred feet behind us there, 100 feet behind us, the railroad station. Which is why the trolley really came to Cambridge Springs, was because people could find a way to the railroad station. Railroad station was their lifeline in those days, back a century ago. Inside, we plan to, we've already done a lot of work in the front room, the waiting room. The waiting room was where people came. There's actually a small groove. Remember, this station only ran for 18 years as a trolley station. There's actually a small groove in the floor directly in front of the ticket window where people stood waiting to buy tickets. They'd buy tickets from here. They could go from here the first stop was at Blystone Junction, which is up by Plank Road at McClellan Corners, and the second stop was in Edinburgh. And from Edinburgh, they went on into Erie and various stops along the way. We're going to completely restore it. Try to put it back as close to as it was in 100 years ago. and I think that's very, very doable. We're going to pour a patio out here, sidewalks around it, a new patio on the front, sidewalks on the north side, which is the way it was then. If you've seen pictures of it in those days, it will be the same. As I said, nothing has changed in those 100 years. This is the front waiting room. As you can see, the door here, which we took off and refinished, waiting room was actually etched on the door. We found that when we stripped it. That was the front door. That's the door that 1912, who was our president? Yeah, came through there. And around the entire perimeter of the front room, you can see there were opera lights. They were like every 2 feet. And we're reinstalling those. Rod Fraser's kids did all this. You can see they put in all new conduit to bring it up to code. Rod, you might explain a little bit what we did there.
Well, the old lights were wired with the old knob and tube wiring. So we had to take that out because that's not legal anymore. So we introduced conduit to the whole project, and then we're going to put wood and fascia around it, and then bring the old lights out that used to be there. Those lights were dated 1908, I believe.
Right.
And they were all brass. They're in good shape yet, and we're going to introduce those old lights and bring them back. We're going to bring them out. It'll all be up to code.
Yeah. One of the things we found, they painted everything. They painted the lights. I had to strip all those brass lights. I didn't even realize they were brass until I stripped them. I stripped these. This was above the ticket window, the original one. I thought it was made out of pot metal. I was going to take it down and make one out of bronze, and found out that it is bronze. It goes right above the ticket window over there. This thing amazingly survived from 1929 1928 when the last trolley ran until today, which is hard to believe someone didn't take it. Here's the one that was on the ladies' room there. Same thing. It says ladies' toilet, written very much in the vernacular of the day. Same with the gents' room. So we found those will go back in place. The single overhead lamp, I found out it was painted completely gray. We stripped it down as a brass chain. It's the top of it, the bottom. So anyhow, we're going to put that back up.
What's neat is that chain's solid brass. You don't see them anymore. That's solid brass.
Yeah. And they had painted it. They had so much paint on it. Probably 7, 8 coats of paint on it. So as we walk through here, like I said, they came through that door, waited here. And there's actually which we'll bring about. There's actually, you probably can't see it on the camera, there's actually a worn spot right here with it's a dip down where people stood here and bought tickets. And this ticket window we replaced. I had that made one of my welders at U.S. Bronze, but I took that from a picture that was taken and scaled it. So that's going to be we replaced that. There's a door that goes behind that. So that's the front room. This is obviously one of the restrooms that's completely under construction, as you can see. We stripped it all out. The lower part, the upper part's the same as it was before. So we want to make it had like a white tile effect in here previously, and we want to again do the same thing. So people walking here, they'll look exactly like it did in 1910 when they came in here. This was the dispatch office, and of course we're going to completely renovate this. This is where they stood, and they could stand here and watch the trolleys come down the track. They always knew when they were coming. We didn't have the communication, that we have today, so we'd do that. And this is actually the original electrical box that was in the building, which is no longer used. The old switches, throw switches were in them, little fuses, replaceable fuses. Of course, that was disconnected years ago. but we left it there. We're going to leave it there. We're actually going to put a glass door in the front of it so people can see it. The kids from the tech school were really amazed by that. They'd never seen anything like that before. In fact, honestly, until I saw it, I hadn't seen anything like that before. This gives you, as we leave this office, this is a restroom. This is the gents' restroom, as they called it. This is basically the layout of it. You can see it had a white tile effect, but these were not tile. This was, what they did was, in those days, they plastered that, and then they would make an imprint, very much like you do with cement work today. They make the stone work, they'll make the imprints in it. So it was not tile. You can see it breaks off here. So we're going to replace that as best we can. It's the same wainscoting that they had then. This is, we put this in. This was where the freight office was. We're going to put, and we're drifting away a little bit where we want it to be as far as doing things right, but this would have just been an empty space here. So we're putting a kitchenette here. We'll have obviously sink and microwave and that type of thing, so people can use this. The public will be able to use this facility and have a little kitchenette to go with it. We just put in a new 200 amp service to service it. Just got that. Rod and his entire crew put that in. 100%, and I got an excellent, when they reviewed it, they said nothing but quality work. So the kids did a great job in putting that in. Anything you want to add to that, Rod?
No, it's just that we've got a subfeed, 100 amp subfeed that goes on down into the basement that we're going to feed some of the other circuits with. But no, it's 200 amp service, new meter base, new wire, all copper wire. As you can see over here, you want to check that old knob and tube wiring out. That we're replacing all that.
Yeah.
There'll be none in use when we're done.
Yeah, what you're looking at right there is currently inactive.
Yeah, we're not using any of that anymore. We've discontinued it, but it's good for the kids to work on that to see what it was. You know, I talk about it in class, but for them to actually work with it, they don't get a chance to do that very often. But now they're understanding what these are considered. The tubes up here where they go through the joists, and these are the knobs. And you can see the way they spliced it back when. They just spliced onto it, put some old friction tape there. There was wires coming off of this, and that's how they used to tap on to all the circuits, but that's all coming out.
So this was a freight room. We're going to put it back exactly the way it was. I mentioned that earlier. This was the 48-inch door where they carried freight in and out from the railroad over to here. This was converted in 1932. That's when they put the doors in to turn it into a garage. We have no photos of the north side of the building as it existed originally. We got a lot of the south side, a lot of head-on from the front, but we have none of the north side. We really don't know what was here other than what we're seeing right now. We have no reason to believe it was anything else. There might have been another freight door there. That probably would have been it. But we went to the Erie Historical Society and tried to find the plans that were originally for this building, and they do not exist, or if they do exist, they can't find them. Okay, this is the basement area. Actually, for 100 years old, this is relatively dry. We intend to put a new floor in it, and we will do that. We got to clean this one up first, obviously, but this foundation, contrary to what it may look like, is, like I said, is as solid as the day it was built. We put the that's not an original furnace. The original furnace was a coal furnace. We know that it was forced air heat. Then later they put in radiator heating. This is the rod. You can step just side of the second rod there. This is the 100 amp subfeed that we put in. It feeds off the 200 amp upstairs that Tanner's working on there.
Okay, what I want you to do.
Will we clamp it right here?
Yeah.
So there's actually not a whole lot to see down there, but there's actually coal left from the coal days. That was.
So can I cut this wire right here?
Let me see.
Cut it right here.
Cut it right here.
Cut it right here. Hey, Derek, you got them side dice?
The kids are getting a lesson here. Huh?
My box is right there.
What they're doing now is removing all the old knob and tube wiring. And we're hooking up the ground and the water system now.
Shoot, that's right on my toolbox.
Okay, where's the cutters? Here's an example of some of the old wiring right here. That's got to go. And they're in the process now of removing all that.
This wiring back here was actually led to the gas pumps. And when we were doing our study outside, checking for with our backhoe, looking for things, we actually found that live wires were actually, when they took the gas pumps out in 1964, they never disconnected the electricity. They were live, like 4 inches under the ground. So we pulled them all out, obviously. They're just taking out the wires. Those have long since been disabled.
We are extremely pleased from the support we're getting from local foundations and local businesses who see the value in preserving this historic landmark. They also get a little bit out of it in that we can offer recognition to them, explain to the community exactly what they do, tell the young people about opportunities for employment with these companies, and so it's a win-win situation for all parties involved. And we're just so tickled that we can involve our young people in the project.
This started out as part of their senior project. They're required to have 10 hours of community service. They're well beyond 10 hours, but they've elected to stay on and finish this project. I'm sure we'll be into this project well into the fall. But we're wiring this up as you mentioned before. Up here, we're putting a 3-way circuit in right now to control the light, the old light, the original light. We're going to rewire the fan circuits. Like I said, it had all knob and tube, no boxes. We're installing all the boxes. In the process right now, Michael's going to hook up the ground wire down the basement. We're grounding the water system. When you hook the grounds together, make sure this is a split bolt. Make sure you tighten it up. When you think it's as tight as you can get it, I want you to tap the head a little bit. And as you tap it, it'll tighten more because that copper will seat itself together, okay? It's critical that you keep doing that until it's tight. Okay? Yeah. All right. There you go.
Next version.
You guys are putting the box in up there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you're tearing the old wiring out down in the basement. Why don't you help tear the old wiring out down there, okay? Okay. Well, we need to get all the old wiring out, okay? And then, you know what we ought to do? Maybe you two, why don't we, you know all them boards that we fit around there? Why don't we get them, why don't we get them all out here and stack them up, because we can start putting them in to put the old opera lights in, okay? Okay, so let's bring all them out, because I think we want to get started on that next, all right? Yeah, just set them here on the floor, and then we can start on the opera lights. Okay. Okay. I have a couple of my students are on co-op. In fact, 3 of them are from Johnson Electric. You just started at Vogue Heating and Air Conditioning. He works during the day and the summer. And he's up here. So you haven't been home yet, have you? No. No, okay. This is how dedicated they are.
I'm Kyler Durfee. I'm from Sagertown High School. What we're doing right now is all the old wiring. People have been in and doing random stuff, and it's all messed up. So what we're doing is we're tying new onto the old to fish it up into the attic, and then we're making our own holes and completing the 3-way circuit, wiring it correctly, putting boxes in.
Okay, these will go over the opera lights out there, and then we'll have a hole cut with a piece of conduit that'll go into the old opera lights. And we're going to reintroduce the old lights. The old lights, I wished I had one here to show you. They're quite unique. They've painted all these, but we're going to repaint them, but we just gave them a base coat of clues, and then they'll be painted out there, but they fit over the old existing lights out there. And what they'll do is we'll space the lights to the center of the box that they have out there with a piece of conduit, and they'll go out and attach to the old opera lights. So we can take them out now, kids, and then we're going to see where we want to fit them. Okay, there was some markings on them, and we'll go by that, okay? So let's take them out and stack them up. All right. Now, when they get done with these projects, if you can take a shot at these lights up here, these are the old existing lights. There's 4 of them here. There's one back in the corner, but they're all wired with the old knob and tube. Now those lights, we're going to keep those same lights there. In fact, we've got the old fixtures for them. And what we're going to do is we're going to rewire them. We're going to install new boxes up there, keep the old heads and the old globes, inspect them, and make sure they're up to code. And then we're going to rewire those lights out here. Now, what I want you to do is just tap the bottom of that. Okay, that's enough. Now, see if that nut will tighten a little more. Grab your crescent wrench. See that?
Ouch, yeah.
See, you tightened it a little more, because what that's doing is that's seating the copper. Let's see the hammer again. Let's try it again. Okay, you don't have to hit it hard. Just wrap it a little bit. Now see if you can't get a little more on it. There you go. See, you got another 1/4 of a turn.
Yep.
That looks good. That's good and tight. Okay, good job. And you just did what?
Grounded the water system.
You grounded the water system. That's being grounded from?
Those over the clamps that I put on over there.
Okay, you want to explain what you did over here?
I put 2 clamps, one here, and I ran ground wire around and up the pipe, then down the ceiling over into the panel box where it's being grounded off the grounding bar in the panel box.
Why did we go around this? Remember, we have this is all plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to jump the water meter to make sure we get a good ground. Now, most of your water systems today are all plastic, but this is still a good copper galvanized system, or black pipe, so you do have a good supplemental. It's a supplemental ground.
Yep.
Okay. Because outside we drove how many ground rods?
2.
2 ground rods. Okay. Good.
Building. Our plans for the future are to make it a public meeting space during the week and offer special programs on the weekend, Friday nights, Saturday afternoons, and Sunday afternoons, at least twice a month. So we would have a speaker do a presentation on any number of industries that were big back from the 1850s until the year 2000 in our region, not just the town, not just the county, but the entire region of northwestern Pennsylvania. Plans for the future include possible excursion trains. We're talking to the Western New York and Pennsylvania Railroad about running excursion trains on a monthly basis between Cambridge Springs and maybe Corey, or maybe points in between. We would use that as a fundraiser to help pay for the operating costs of the trolley station. We're talking to the Western New York and Pennsylvania Railroad about the piece of property that is between me and Grant Street. They own that piece of property, and all they really do with it is pay taxes on it. Back in the day, there was a warehouse there, and if we could recreate that building, we could maybe add additional exhibits, or perhaps use it to house collectible cars, which would help pay the rent for the trolley station. We've got a ton of possibilities with this project, and everything so far is coming out well for us. I'm happy to tell you that we've been getting support from local foundations and local companies who want to be a part of the project. They see the value in resurrecting this historic landmark. If you'd like to visit our website, we're at www.railroadpoolingmuseum.com, and we'll have updates there as they occur with the trolley station.